In this video, I will show you how you can create a fixed guided path to be run for debugging. So while implementing new steps in an existing graph, or when you want to focus specifically on a portion of a graph, it might take a long time to reach the exact path you would like to go through, making debugging a process difficult. So therefore, it would be useful to have a kind of guided path which only include a subset of model edges. We could call that a golden path. Once debugged your golden path, you can forget it and have more usual random path for better coverage. So let's start by creating a new project. Let me name it GW project. We select a very simple model. And here we are. We have a graph model here. We're gonna generate a test from this graph model. And very good. So we have generated a GraphWalker test. We can run it right now. Run as GW4eTest. And we can see the output in the Eclipse console. So far, so good. So what we would like to do now is to update our graph, and we will focus on the newly created nodes. So let's add a vertex. I will call it my v underscore my new vertex. And let's now create edges. Let me name it e underscore 1. Oops. And now I'm going to create the second edge. And I will call it e underscore 2. Okay, so saving the work. Okay, so now we would like to test and focus our test on a specific path. We want to go through start, start app, verify app running, e underscore 1, my new vertex, e2, and this last vertex. So we want to be sure that while running our test, we're going to go through all of these graph elements. So if we have a look at the problem view, now we have updated our graph. Our test is no longer in sync with this graph. For example, we don't have any method for e underscore 1, this vertex, or e underscore 2. So let's make a build and see what happens. So the builder claims that there is something that goes wrong because the graph model is not synchronized with the test. So let's regenerate the test interface. And very good. We have generated the test interface. This test interface corresponds to this graph model, but unfortunately, our existing test is no longer in sync with this interface. So let's fix that problem right now. Very good. Eclipse just created the method. So let's add some output to the console. Cool. So now we have an updated test. It is related perfectly to our graph model. So right now, the goal of our tutorial is to have a guided path. So let's generate it. I'm selecting the path I want to test. And then I'm just running the wizard, generate. So as you can see on the right side, we have the graph element we have selected, and the right side, the ones that we didn't select. We could move some of the nodes to change the sequence, but here the sequence is correct for us, or we can remove or add different nodes, but for the tutorial this is good. Next, we want to extend an existing test. So we only have one test currently in our project related to this graph model. Click next. Then we select the path for our new class. We're going to call this class simple static, and we just click finish. So far so good. So what did we get here? We have a run method which build a model in memory model, which will be exactly the path that we want to test. We also have generated an inner class that just inheriting our existing test. So far so good. So right now we just have to run our test very simply. And as you can see in the output, we have started by the start node. We go through eStart app, verify app running, E1, my new vertex, E2, and the last vertex. So here now you have exactly the path you want. And now if you want to, let's say, update your existing test, you have two choices. The very first one is to go through the newly introduced method and modify them directly in the existing test. But at some point, if you don't want to do that because you want to keep your test clean, just Control C, go back to your simple static test, and then you just have to override them in the inner class. So now my new executing my new vertex. I'm just modifying a little bit the method. And now in a real life, you would just modify your test here. Very easy. And in that case, you keep very clean your existing test. So right click now, run Java application. And as you can see here, this is your inner class that has been executed. So in a real life, you would just have to modify these methods, making sure that they work fine. You debug them, and once everything is fine, you just have to copy back all of this method in the real test, and that's it. And now you can forget your get it path, your get it test, and you can delete it. And that's it. So in this tutorial, you'll learn how to create a guided path to focus your debugging process on a specific path of your graph model. Thank you.